Hello everybody, welcome or welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Whitney, and today I am coming at you guys giving you a little bit of a story time. So on my channel I give you guys advice. I talk to you guys about the many things that's going on in my life, hopefully that you can relate. We have a writer's scope where you send to my email whatever advice you need, and then I give you that advice in a video. And overall I just tell you guys the crazy stuff that just goes on in my life. Hopefully you enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, don't forget to give me a huge thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because how else are you going to come in for the juicy tea? My life is one hilarious story. I'm going to write a book one day on this because it is hilarious. So these are one of the many stories that I've had the pleasure of going through. So if you guys are interested to know one of my many different various horror stories from Tinder, then keep on watching. So this story starts back, it shouldn't be super long. This story starts back when I used to be a hostess at a restaurant. Yes, I was a hostess, then I got promoted to a server, and then I also got promoted to a bartender, but that was at two different restaurants. So I'm talking about the very first restaurant that I worked at as an adult, right? Like I worked there for approximately 4 years. And I started out as a host. So this is the time that I started out as a host. During my time here, it took me approximately, I'll just say the store, Applebee's. I worked at Applebee's for approximately 4 years. And during my time here at Applebee's, it took me approximately 7 months to get acclimated to the whole culture, to talk to people. Like I was quiet for a minute. Like I didn't talk to anybody for a minute. Like I was good with people, of course, but as far as me telling my story, my business, anything like that, nah, it took me a minute. I was reserved as hell. Like people thought to the point to, like, I was so reserved to the point that some people, some managers thought that I was deaf, and I was like, I'm not, whatever. But that's a completely different story. So during my time here, I made long-lasting friends, right? Like they're awesome people. I made great friends over there, people who are, you know, have your back through anything. I don't have to talk to them every single day. All I know is that they're cool, you know, they're great people, they know I'm a good person. Whenever we link up, it's a vibe, that sort of thing, right? So I made my group of friends there. But there's also a group of friends that I made there that I didn't really realize weren't the greatest until afterwards, until I got older. So during this time I was friends with we're gonna name her Candace, because she low-key reminds me of a Candace Owens, if you guys know who I'm talking about. So we have a character here, Candace. I met Candace here. We were both hostess at the time, and she was like a great person. You know, she was fun to vibe with. She had some things about her that I necessarily didn't agree with, but you know, it doesn't matter because it's not my life, it's her life, whatever, right? So we were cool on the vibe. I respected her boundaries, she respected mine. She, you know, had her boyfriends or whatever, and I was, you know, talking to her about the various things that I wanted to get into. I was 18, 19 at the time, and she was like, you know, I could take you to the strip club with me, I got a dude for you. And so that could be a different story time. Oh God, I guess that could be a different story time. But end of the story is that she had her boy issues or whatever, you know, and I was talking to her about it. We were that, I don't want to say that we were like two peas in a pod, but like we were close enough to where she told me what was going on with her, and I was like, maybe you need to do X, Y, and Z. So we ended up going to the strip club one night, and she brought a guy for me that I just wasn't interested in, and he like it was, I'm not even gonna give the punchline of what happened in that story. I'm not even gonna give the punchline of what happened in the story. I just wasn't interested in him. And you know, when we came back and we were talking about what was going on in that night, you know, at Applebee's, because we basically, when there was nothing going on, us females, we talked. Like we were the stereotypical thing. We talked so much shit, right? So during this time, one of the times that we were talking shit, Candace was showing me one of her exes, and she was like, oh, like this is one of the guys that I used to mess with, and you know, we broke up because of, you know, things that he was saying to me. She broke up with him because he was weird, right? And so this was at the very beginning of my time here at Applebee's. Fast forward, you know, I'm now, let's say I'm now like a year later, like let's say I'm like either fully 19, almost 20, right? And so this is the time that I'm trying to like get back into the dating world. I'm trying to basically see what I'm like dating as an adult. You know, I didn't really have that many boyfriends. in high school, and I truly did not know how to date at all. And I was like, okay, your girl is ready to have a boyfriend. So what am I gonna do? What's the best way to have a boyfriend? Go on Tinder. I don't know why. That's just what I did. During this time that I was on Tinder, I ended up meeting various dudes, right? Various dudes that wanted to take me out, various dudes that did the typical, you know, oh, let me give you a massage, come over when it's 2 a.m., like those type of niggas. But I met this one dude who we're going to call Xavier. Yeah, let's just call him Xavier. And he was cool for the most part, right? Like we were talking for a little bit, and I was like, you know what, you're having great conversation, right? And so during this conversation, you know, we were talking for about 10 days, right? And so on Tinder, 10 days is a long time, because usually people just have a conversation and then they, you know, get to it that night. But me, I took my time. And so 10 days was long enough. No, but like for real, 10 days was like a good enough time. We were planning hanging out while I was at work. And so, because we talked a lot during the day. So I ended up telling Xavier where I worked. And one day he just randomly popped up at my job, and my friend comes in the back and they're like, hey, some guy is here for you. He's sitting over there in your section, right? And so this is the time that I was a server, right? So I was a host, then I got promoted, and now I was a server. So I go over to my section, I see this dude standing, and I'm like, is that Xavier? And let me tell you, mind you, the things that were going through my mind during this time, I was like, yo, he don't look like the Xavier that's on Tinder. Like, he really knows his angles, because this dude looks different. Like he low-key, I'm not about to roast him because I don't know what he's doing with his life, but all I know is that he had like Sleeping with Sirens tattoos like right here, and then he had like Skyrim tattoo. He was that type of dude, and he had something else right here. I think he had Pierce the Veil. Yeah, the people who sung the song, he had like a PVT right here. I guess that was his favorite band at the time, I don't really know. But basically he had all of those tattoos with the bands and stuff like that all over him, and he was in like this black vest with like a white button down, because he also worked at a restaurant, and he was like in his little getup because he was about to go to work. And he was like, you know, I pass by Applebee's every day on my way to work, and I just wanted to jump in and see how you were doing. Like, I just wanted to introduce myself to you before we hung out. And like in hindsight, it was a very gentleman-like thing to do. But for me, I was lucky that I looked cute that day. I don't like meeting new people and not looking my best, you know what I mean? Even if he didn't look like his pictures, I look like my pictures, obviously. But the thing is like, I don't want them to look at me and think like what I thought of him. You feel me? So like I'm telling you, I looked cute that day. I had my little bang swoop to the side. I think this is when I was slowly transitioning to natural, but I still had a little bit of perm in my hair. So I braided my hair in like 2 cornrows, and then I had my bang swooped over, and then I had my cute little like fuzzies on the side because my roots were natural. So like I came up there and I looked cute. I had my plum lipstick on because I stay with those dark plums, and I went up there and then I was like, hey, how you doing? Like, what's good? Like, hi, what are you doing here? You feel me? And so he basically said what I just said. Like, he basically was like introducing himself, like, yo, this is who I am, and I look forward to hanging out with you later. And I was like, cool. Like, hey, awesome, great, you know. And we ended up giving each other a hug and then dipped. And then I went to my friend who came to me and was like, yo, a dude's here for you. And I was like, yo, he looks nothing like his Tinder picture. Yo, this dude is ugly. Like, I know that sounds so ridiculous. Like, it doesn't matter what they look like. It's all about the personality. But it was too much for me. I wasn't ready for that. Listen, I wasn't ready for that. Let me tell you, I was immature. Regardless, moving on to the story. So the day that he came into my job, he basically was texting me that night. He was like, you know, I actually know some people who worked here or who used to work here. And I was like, oh really? Who do you know? He was like, I know this person, and I know Candace. And I was like, oh, Candace still works here. Like, that's my girl, that's my friend. Like, you guys, you know, you can come over when she works, and then we can all just hang out, because usually when we work together, things aren't really busy, or you can come when it's not busy, and then, you know, we can, you know, shoot shit, do whatever it is that we need to do. And he was like, you know, that sounds like a really cool idea, but I don't really think that she's gonna want to talk to me. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll talk to her first and see how that works. Like, why wouldn't she want to talk to you? And he told me because, you know, they used to be really good friends, but now they're not. And I was like, okay, well, if it's gonna be awkward, then I don't want none of it. I didn't put nothing together in this moment. I was just like, you know what, if they used to be friends and now they're not, then that's just, it is what it is. That happens. So sometime after this, right, me and Xavier, it had to be like less than a week later, because me and Xavier have yet to hang out. So I go to work, I'm working with Candace, me and her are just talking. It gets to being a slow night. And I'm telling her about Xavier. Like, yo, I met this dude on Tinder. Like, he looks nothing like his pictures. He's, you know, like, he's really cool, but he's not really my type. Like, he's, you know, I don't know, maybe he can be a friend, right? And I was like, he came into Applebee's and he was like, you know, he came to introduce himself. And he also said that he knew people here. And she was like, you know, really, who does he know? And I was like, well, he said that he knows this person, and he says he knows you. And she was like, he knows me. I don't know anybody named that. Like, I don't know anybody named Xavier. And I was like, let me show you him. So I showed her him. And the thing that occurred next, I would have never guessed would have happened. But she was pissed at me. Like, she was livid. And she was like, I don't understand why you're talking to him. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? I was like, what do you mean, why am I talking to him? Like, I met him on Tinder, he seemed cool. And she was like, I don't understand why you're sitting here talking to him when I told you about him. I was like, what did you tell me about him? And she was like, I told you that he tried to do, let me give you a disclaimer here. I'm going to bleep out a couple things. You can put two and two together and hopefully you could figure it out. So what she proceeded to say was that he kept talking to me about doing stuff. He wanted to stick his in my, and he wanted to choke me during that. And that's why I broke up with him, because I was signed up for, I didn't want to be signed up for something that I never wanted to do in the first place. And she was like, and I told you that. Mind you, I never knew this. I was like, what do you mean you told me that? I feel like I would remember a story about some guy telling you that he wants to do that. She was like, I know that I told you that. I know that I told you about all of that. And I know that I told you and I showed you his picture and you know who he is and you still decided to talk to him. I was like, I didn't even know that he still talked to you, or I didn't even know that you guys had something going on. Like, was this, like, who is this guy? She was like, that's my ex-boyfriend that I told you I dated a year ago, who I didn't work out with. We dated for about a month. I was like, you're tripping over a guy you dated for a month that I'm not even interested in? And she's like, I'm not tripping. It's just you're supposed to be my friend and I don't know why you're out here doing that. Like, I can't trust you now. Like, I'm so pissed at you now. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, you're not serious, right? You're not serious. Because when I started talking to him, I didn't know he was connected to you at all. I didn't know he was your ex. I didn't know that he wanted to do all of that with you. Because then I want to be talking to him. And she was like, I didn't do anything with him. He was talking about like that to me, like saying, oh, I want to do X, Y, and Z with you. And I was like, did you even, are you sure you said that to me? Because are you sure you even gave me a picture? And she was like, yeah, I showed you his picture. He even came in here a few times to see me. And I told you about the time that he wanted to do X, Y, and Z to me. I was like, are you sure I was even there? Like, I'm telling you, I was like, I'm not trying to make it seem like you're tripping or you're lying or anything. But I don't remember this dude from anywhere. Even like if it was a year ago, I think I would remember a story about a guy who wanted to do with you. Like, that's disgusting. Like, I'm not into play and I'm not into and I'm not into doing any of that. Like, during this time, mind you, I was also freshly off of my virginity. Like, I lost my virginity at 19 and I was like fresh off of that, right? Like, I'm not trying to do any of that. Like, I'm barely into the game right now. Like, I'm confused. But she didn't believe me. She didn't want to believe anything that I was saying. And during this whole time, like, that I'm working with her, she had an attitude. And I was like, listen, Candace, like, I really want to apologize to you because I didn't remember this guy from anywhere. I didn't know he was associated with you. I never put two and two together. So that's my fault. Okay, fine. But at the same time, you don't have to be pissed at me because I didn't know. And it seemed like she was okay with it, right? It seemed like she was just like, ask him and see if he remembers all of that and ask him why he did all of that. And I was like, okay, like, I'm not interested in him, especially after you said that. Like, I stopped being interested in him. So now let's just see if we can get information from him. So I texted him all of that. I was like, so you dated Candace? And he was like, yeah, I dated Candace. I was like, right, okay, yeah. So you wanted to do stuff with Candace? He was like, I only told her that because she wouldn't leave me alone, and I'm not into that at all. And I was like, right, yeah. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna work. I think I'm done, you know. It's just a lot at once and I'm just not ready for it. So that was the end of me and Xavier's little 10-day existence together. I don't know, it was longer than that, but that was the end of that. Fast forward a couple years, like I'm about 21, right? And Candace no longer works at Applebee's. And I was wondering, you know, why doesn't Candace want to hang out with me anymore? Like, not even hang out with me anymore. I just noticed that she didn't want to come out with the group anymore, because there was a group of us that would always go out, we would always hang out, we would always party, we'd always do whatever, like, to have fun. And she would never come through. She came once, but she didn't come. We actually hung out a few times after that where I thought that we were cool, and then she just stopped coming. And this was like even far after the whole Xavier thing. And one of my really good friends, I'm gonna call her Chelsea. Whatever, I'm gonna call her Chelsea. So one of my friends, my really good friends, Chelsea, I was sitting at the table with my friend Chelsea and my friend, her name doesn't matter, it was 3 of us sitting at the table. And I was talking about Candace. I was like, yeah, Candace said that she's gonna come through, but I don't know if she's gonna come through or not. And Chelsea looks at me and she was like, Whitney, you know Candace doesn't like you, right? I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, she literally told me we don't talk to Whitney anymore because Whitney was messing around with my ex. I was like, I didn't do anything with her ex. I didn't even know it was her ex. Oh my God. So I just went on a whole thing. I was like, I didn't know. And I ended up telling her the whole story, and I was like, he's ugly. Like, I don't understand why she thought that I was really all that interested. It was just Tinder. Like, I'm confused. But you know, Chelsea understood what I was coming from. She was like, yeah, Candace is on a whole nother level, but she talks mad shit about you. And this is during this time Candace didn't work there anymore. I was like, well, you know what? I don't care. Whatever. So that is the time that I accidentally was talking to somebody else's ex, one of my really good friends' ex, without even realizing. And I didn't know that I was about to get into something, you know, that I didn't realize I was getting into. So if you guys like to hear more stories like that, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Like I said, subscribe to this channel if you aren't subscribed already. Don't forget, I do have a segment here on my channel called A Writer's Scope, where you send to my email whatever advice you need, whatever problems you're going through, and I will convey whatever things that I think you should do next. Send me an email and you may get featured in my next video. Thank you guys for joining me today. You know, I say this all the time, my word is not the law. I just come on here to help everyone and anyone, even if it is just one person. So thank you guys for joining me today, and hopefully I'll see you next time.